You know what you're gonna do? You're gonna say your part, then I'm gonna say my part, and then you're gonna say your part again, and then we're gonna film it. Does that make sense? Okay, perfect. We've got this then. All right. All right, Cutethlhu. You know your job. Do it.
Resident Evil 4.
I guess that's a local's way of breaking the ice. Anyway, you know what this is all about. My assignment is to search for the president's missing daughter.
What? All by yourself?
I'm sure you boys didn't tag along so we could sing Kumbaya at some Boy Scout bonfire. Then again, maybe you did.
I've sent my right hand.
Cutethlhu, that's not the
dispose of
line.
you.
Cutethlhu, you know what the next line is. And then I tell you that I'm counting on you, and then I go into that house, and then you're supposed to die. That's how it's supposed to go. What do you mean? Dude, come on, this was supposed to be a funny intro. All right, fuck it, fine. Let's get this started. I've taken the Leon jacket off. Are you happy? Oh, gosh, man. So fucking picky. Hi! Welcome back to the channel. Cutethlhu, can you give everyone a warm welcome?
¿Qué carajo estás haciendo aquí? ¡Lárgate, cabrón!
Thanks, Cutethlhu. Look, if you're on this video, you probably know Resident Evil 4, you probably love Resident Evil 4, and I'm just here to just validate your love of Resident Evil 4. That's my job, is to validate opinions that you already have. Look, it is no secret that I am obsessed with Resident Evil 4. Go check this out, or check this out, or check this out, or check this out. I don't have enough fingers to point out how much I just love Resident Evil 4, and Resident Evil 4 is a classic. It's a classic. We got Kumbayas, we got spin kicks, we've got ballistics too. Resident Evil 4 has got everything that a good Resident Evil game has. You know, it was a pioneer in third-person action games, and we wouldn't be in the state we are with video games if it wasn't for Resident Evil 4. It was basically game of the generation. It has been ported to every single platform under the fucking sun, and it is fantastic. So then Capcom announced that they were going to do to Resident Evil 4 what they had done to Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, and give it the remake treatment. But much like Dead Space, does Resident Evil 4 need a remake, really? Well, they dropped a demo, and I'm excited to tell you that what I experienced with that demo was very, very promising. So let's talk about it a little bit. So the demo just kind of drops you into a random spot right before the first Ganado house after an opening cinematic. It establishes a lot more than what the original established. It establishes Leon's PTSD. It shows a little bit of history between him and Krauser before we go into this game, which I appreciate. And it just sets up the fact that he is a special agent that has been specially trained after the events of Raccoon City far better than the first game did, and I'm very excited. However, we didn't get the Spanish drivers leading him into town. They're still in there, but they just aren't in the demo because Capcom wants to keep some stuff close to the chest. So when you pick up and you start moving, there's a couple of things we need to talk about. First, and immediately though, is that everything is both familiar yet extremely different. Like, I know these spaces. I've been to these spaces thousands of times. I've lived these spaces in VR. These are nostalgic spaces, yet they're different. They give a sense of something's not right, a little bit uncomfortable. And what's cool so far, what I've noticed with this demo, is that Capcom isn't taking anything out of the game like we were worried about with Resident Evil 3. They are only adding to it. That opening house, nothing's been removed. Things have only been added that kind of buff it up, make it beefier, add some more tension because they're going for a far more serious tone. Things are the same, but things are also not the same, but in a very good way. What took some getting used to, however, is the new movement, or what I guess I should call the inertia of the movement. Leon Kennedy walks in a very distinct way. It doesn't feel like how the characters walked in Resident Evil 2 or 3 remake, unless it's been so long since I've played them and I just forgot. But it feels like he has a little bit more, I don't know if I want to call it clunkiness, but it feels like the original Witcher 3 movement where he kind of is just, he's a little bit clunky to control. And I did not like this at first. However, I kept playing. And then I found myself playing the demo like how I played the original Resident Evil 4. And then it dawned on me that this style of movement is what Capcom is trying to capitalize on in bringing the old Resident Evil 4 movement to a modern generation. It's as close as they're gonna get without stripping the ability to move Leon while aiming your guns. It is really, really impressive because I found myself moving and maneuvering and cornering the Ganados much like you would in Resident Evil 4, the original game, and I thought that that was really, really cool because the way that his stiffness kind of falls into play makes you want to play it with that muscle memory you've carried over from Resident Evil 4, and that is something that I did not like but is really, really cool. They have been able to channel the feeling of the original game's combat without stripping away control from the player, and that is something that I should think is absolutely admirable. Like, that's just cool. That's cool to me. So then you go into the house, you do house things, you get attacked, you're looking for Ashley, and a small detail that I want to talk about is the attention to detail with Leon's firearm expertise. Like, what is on display is really, really impressive. Leon's trigger discipline, obviously everyone knows trigger discipline, it's really good, but what's really cool is the distance at which Leon keeps his weapon is dependent on where the Ganados are. So if they're farther away, he sticks it out and has a more stable shooting position, but if they get closer, he pulls the gun in closer to him like fucking John Wick shoots his gun, so that they can't just snatch the gun away from him. It shows actual training, and it shows non-verbally that Leon has grown from the events of Resident Evil 2. He is a more experienced, trained special agent. Not only that, but when you look at the firearm display in the lower right-hand side of the corner, it shows that you have 10 bullets in the magazine, but also 1 in the chamber. So you have 11 bullets total. That's a small detail that they didn't have to do, but it just kind of adds a layer to the fact that, you know, not only has Leon improved, but they like want to lean into the fact that he is a firearm specialist. He has been trained. Like, Leon doesn't see that display, but we do, and it just kind of adds a little something that I kind of appreciate. Good job, Capcom. Now, after we fight our way out of the basement, we run upstairs, and in the demo, we didn't get a lot of character interactions. Obviously, none of the NPCs that we are familiar with show up in this early half, except for one, and that would be the love of my life, Hunnigan. Oh, sweet Hunnigan, how I love you. And so Capcom took who was originally just like a floating head in the first game, and they gave her fully animated cutscenes. It's great. I love her. I love Hunnigan. I hope to see more. We only saw her for one cutscene in the demo. But that leads into the next thing, which is that a lot of people online were worried that the Resident Evil 4 remake, since it's going for a more serious tone, would cut away the fact that Leon is pretty quippy and kind of dorky. And everyone was really worried that this more serious tone would mean Leon isn't quippy and Leon isn't being funny. Well, I am pleased to inform you that I'm relieved. Everyone can be rest assured that Capcom have absolutely made Leon a fucking dork and a half.
Bill me for the repairs later.
Then after that, I am also pleased to announce that typewriters have returned. I personally was kind of worried about what they were gonna do with typewriters. Obviously, Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil 8 all had specific like save state mechanics with like the cassette players and the typewriters from Resident Evil 2, but it's cool that they're still here because I was a little bit worried. My guess is they're probably gonna function exactly like they have in all modern Resident Evil games and also like the Dead Space remake, where when you play on normal difficulties, you do have autosaves, but then you can also physically save your progress at a typewriter. But then if you play on higher But then if you play on higher difficulties, your autosave is disabled and you are limited to only saving at specific typewriters. I think that's probably how it's gonna work. There's probably gonna be a really hard difficulty that limits the amount of times you can save. Anyway, typewriters are back. We know how typewriters work. It goes ba 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 da, and then you go click, 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 and they're typewriters. If you've played a Resident Evil game, you know what the typewriters do. And for the veterans out there, you'll be pleased to know that the headshot, spin kick, stab them while they're down combo is still here, and it is back with a vengeance. Because hot diggity goddamn, is it fun to suplex grandma and stab Uncle Joe in the neck. The combat here is incredible. And they've kept the headshot spin kick combo. If an enemy is stunned, you could spin kick them, you could suplex them. The combat here is incredible. Like, genuinely, it is fantastic. And I am shocked that they were able to keep such an old school style feeling with the combat and with the Ganados while also making it modern. It's just such a cool line that they have found themselves at, that the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remake also did really well, in my opinion. Capcom is just knocking it out with these remakes. But there is something that we probably want to talk about if you're a fan of Resident Evil 4. Yeah, so the knife in Resident Evil 4 was the most useful and versatile tool you could have at your disposal. That thing was invincible. It killed Ganados, it killed Krauser. If you've played that game more than once, you've probably used it to kill regenerators. It took a while, but it was reliable and you could do it. It got the job done. However, the knife in this new demo and further on into the main game has durability to it, much like the knives in Resident Evil 2 remake. It's the same director, so that kind of makes sense, but the knife in Resident Evil 4 was so core to the gameplay that it's interesting to see that they've added a durability to it. It takes up inventory slots in your attaché case. It has durability, so the more you use it, it'll break, but you can parry things with it, you can stealth kill with it, and every time you do stuff, it breaks just a little bit. And so I'm not gonna pass judgment on this until the final game comes out, because it could go one of two ways. It could either be balanced perfectly, where they give you enough knives where you're kind of stressed out about it and you're not using your knife willy-nilly, but it's still there when you need it for things like breaking out of grabs and stealth killing. Or they could starve you for knives the entire game and you fucking hate it, and then you don't get to use the knife as much. I'm gonna hold off on my opinion on the knife until the full game comes out, because it served me well enough in the demo, but it's just dependent on how they balance the knife economy in this game. I have great faith because it was great in Resident Evil 2, but we'll just have to wait and see, because the knife is such a vital part to this game. We'll wait until the main game comes out. That's okay. For now, I'm okay with it. Speaking of core gameplay changes though, they have also added something that the original didn't have, and to my knowledge, none of the Resident Evil games so far have had, and that is stealth. Leon can crouch and he can sneak around stuff and he can stealth kill Ganados, and this is it's just a decision that makes sense to me. Leon is a special agent. He knows that he is outnumbered in this random Spanish village, so it makes sense that he would, use stealth to his advantage, be more tactical. It just makes sense. I'm excited to see some of the more things that you could do with stealth, because in the demo, you can really only stealth kill a couple of people and you just stab them in the neck and they're down, uses a little bit of knife durability, but using more stealth, I'm really excited to see. Maybe they're gonna add like a Lady Beneviento house style moment to Resident Evil 4 remake. Maybe like the weird invisible insects are gonna be like a stealth section or something. I don't know. I'm really excited to see what they do with it. There's a lot of potential and it's pretty decent in the demo. I just hope that it's not half-baked. I want it to have actual purpose. I want there to be times that you want to use it over actual combat, and I want an entire gameplay section that's just stealth oriented. It's got to be the castle section. We already know about the Ashley section with the knights and everything. That's going to be stealth oriented. That's probably going to be very similar to like the Sherry part of the Resident Evil 2 remake. Hopefully it's a little bit longer, just because I want to see a little bit more of Ashley's part fleshed out. But I hope that stealth gets more use. I hope it's not just a half-baked mechanic. I hope it gets more use, because it's pretty cool actually. And those are some of the big core changes that I found while playing the Chainsaw demo for Resident Evil 4 Remake. Overall, it's really good, but what was really special to me is the amount of just fresh surprises for veteran fans of the series and specifically Resident Evil 4. Like, they added so many little things just to the demo that play with your preconceived understanding of how Resident Evil 4 plays and works. For instance, there is a big tower in the center of the village that a stupid cheesy strat that you can do is you can just run up there, and as Ganados climb up the ladder, just stab them off, and you can stand up there until time runs out and you're fine. So you can't do that in the demo. So not only does the knife have durability, so you can't just infinitely stab people until they die, you go up there, you grab some pestas, and then the floor just falls out from under you, and you just fall back to the ground. Yeah, I was caught so off guard by this the first time I played the demo that it got me killed. I was completely surrounded by Ganados. I think my knife had no durability left. The fucking Salvador comes with his chainsaw. Game over. That was it. I was so fucking surprised. I want more shit like that. I want more shit that is just as surprising to veterans as it is new players. So new players are gonna get up there. They're gonna go, oh, what's this? Shit. Fucking floor falls out from under him. It's gonna be just as scary as veterans who know, oh, hey, I know that tower. I'm gonna do this thing that's pretty common in the original, and the game goes, this is a different game. You can't do that. Don't fuck with me. I'm excited for stuff like that. A good remake, and one of the reasons that I love Dead Space remake so much, is a good remake can kind of play on your preconceived notions and understandings of the original. And if there's a little bit more of that, not too much, but a little bit more of that like tongue-in-cheek, like, what did you expect? That's gonna be really exciting. Like when you get to the lake and if you shoot the lake, I'm excited to see what happens. I'm just really excited for this game, guys. Resident Evil 4 Remake, so far, just with this demo, has been fantastic, and the last note that I want to leave on is the fact that this game is fucking brutal. Like, it's so fucking gnarly, dude. Getting grabbed, getting chainsawed, getting hatcheted, getting pitchforked, dying. This game is brutal and gory, and I hope that carries through because Resident Evil 4 has some of the most unique villains and enemy designs and boss fights of any of the Resident Evil games. One of the reasons this game is so beloved beyond its cheesy nature is that it has so much variety. You have the island, you have the castle, you have the village, you have fucking the Salvadors, you have the Ganados, you have the Los Illuminados, you have the weird invisible bug things, you have the fucking boss fights, what am I thinking? You have the weird things, you have Sadler's right hand, I don't remember what they're called. You have the blind things with the Wolverine claws. God, there is so much variety to the Resident Evil 4 enemies that I am so excited to see what would they do with them here and just how gory and intense this game is, but still keeps its lighthearted tone. It's really, really cool. But I think the thing that left me the most excited to play was the fact that Capcom knows. They just know what you want from this game. And so at the very end, when the church bell tolls and all of the Ganados start to walk away, they milk it. They milk it. They walk so slow, and the whole time you're just sitting there and you're like, say the line, Bart! And then...
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
It's beautiful. So thank you guys for joining me. Hopefully you enjoyed some of my opinions on this demo. Overall, it just makes me so fucking hyped for this game, and it drops next Friday. I'm so excited. It'll keep me from playing survival games, at least for a little bit. I think it's ironic that I can go from Valheim to a survival horror game, but it's fine. It's fine. I'm so excited. Please, when the game comes out, join me on stream. I'm gonna be playing the fuck out of it next week. I am so fucking excited. Cutethlhu, do you have anything to say for the people at home before we go? Bingo. Hey, it's that dog. Bill me for the repairs later. I'll let myself out.